Our title, Real Black Turkey. This is a picture of an African guinea fowl which could at a long distance be confused and mistaken for a wild turkey. Hangaiwa itendele. Apparently, when these birds were brought by merchants to late Middle Ages markets in England, they were called turkey hen or turkey cock, which became abbreviated asexually to turkey. Is it possible this story is hiding some answers historians fudge today, or prophetic for someone or another race that is being mistaken and eaten up? Who are the modern Turks? Are Turks Arabs? Where is their real home? What happened to indigenous Turks? Let's look at these questions. Who are the modern Turks? Modern Turkic peoples are historically and linguistically connected to a nomadic people who in the 16th century founded an empire stretching from what is now Mongolia and the northern frontier of China to the Black Sea. That's what the Britannica.com website says, and a lot of others show that. Are Turks Arabs then, since they are in Northeast Africa? No, is the shocking answer we get from popular search sites like Quora. Turks are not Arabs. Turkish people, or the Turks, also known as Anatolian Turks, Turkish, Anadolu, Turkleri, are a Turkic group of people and a nation living mainly in Turkey and speaking Turkish, the most widely spoken Turkic language. But how come they are Muslims? The relations between Turks and Arabs go back centuries. Muslim Arabs began to conquer Turkic regions starting in 705, and Turks fought on the side of Arabs against the Chinese in the Battle of Talas in 751. This alliance developed a connection between Turks and Arabs. A connection between Turks and Arabs, separate and different people. Turkic princes in Turkestan adopted Islam, and later the people adopted Islam en masse. The Arab spoken of here was the original, or is the original Arab, an African, black. This one, and this one is not the original or indigenous. Now, this answer solves a big problem but introduces another one. Where is the real home of this fella and that fella? Let's look for that. Names that are changed fudges history. Anatolia is the oldest name of that part of Northeast Africa, later called Asia Minor or Small Asia. Webster's dictionary tells us that these people are of Persian as well as Central Asian group of people, Eastern Central Asian Turkic languages. The reason why Turks have Arab names today is because they converted to Islam, as already proved, and that they also took Arabic names. Indigenous black Arabs do not follow this Turkish tradition. These are the truest and purest Arabs in the world today. The Arabs of Socotra Islands, off the coast of Yemen, are the only genetically pure Arabs in the world. They are of Y DNA haplogroup, which is the basal nasal form, meaning that their genes are the earliest and the purest with no further mutations. Black people, the Africans, because Africans we are multi-diverse pool of people. And let's go back to our question. Where is the real home of the Turks? We have already indicated that they are from Central Mongolia, Central Asia. So where Turks came from proves that they are not indigenous to North Africa. Let's expand and give more evidence on this. They were chased out of Eastern Central Asia by the Mongols. On reaching Greece around 1200 BCE, historians now crafted a history for them, naming them Greeks, Latins, and Romans, but learn this fact now. These are some of the names of the indigenous people, indigenous black people, black Europeans who were defeated by these Eurasians. Many black Southern Europeans and Mediterranean islanders were displaced, and they fled for safety into Kemet, the Levant and Anatolia. These fleeing blacks were known as sea peoples. The sea peoples were not easily welcome into Africa as immigrants, and many battles were fought before they could actually settle there. As evidenced by ancient Southern European tomb art showing blacks, albinos, and mulattoes, these invading Eurasians were eventually assimilated into Black Europe, and today they have taken over the whole of Europe. The first non-Turkic empire, Tehukushe Empire, consisted of two parts, Eastern and Western Turks. The Oron inscription, the oldest non-Turkic records, 8th century, referred to this empire and particularly to the confederation of Turkic tribes known as the Oghuz and the Uyghur, who lived along the Selenga River in present-day Mongolia. And history is already proving itself because their descendants are now finding themselves. Here is the what history and what news we ought to have captured. In 2018, Turkish Prime Minister Binali Yildirim visited Oron Valley of Mongolia to see the Orhon inscriptions written in Old Turkic alphabet. There, in modern day Turks and their cousins, the Mamelukes. The term is almost commonly used to refer to Muslim slave soldiers and Muslim rulers of slave origin. Now let's look at this Applied History of Research Group, University of Calgary article. The end of Europe's Middle Ages, origins of the Ottoman Empire. Pressured out of their homes in the Asian steppes by the Mongols, the Turkish tribes converted to Islam during the 8th and the 9th century after Common Era. By the 10th century, one of the Turkish tribes, the Seljuk, had become a significant power in the Islamic world and had adopted a settled life that included Islamic orthodoxies, a central administration, and taxation. However, many other Turkish groups remained nomadic and pursuing a Ghazi tradition, sought to conquer land for Islam, acquire booty, and acquire a name for themselves. This led them to be in conflict with the Seljuk Turks, and to pacify these nomadic tribes, the Seljuks directed them to East Byzantine Empire and Anatolia. The tribe known as the Ottomans arose out of these smaller emirates established northwestern Anatolia after 1071, and the dynasty is the one that expanded their kingdom and became into the Byzantine Empire in Asia Minor as well as the Ottoman Empire. More on these Oghuz texts. The Oghuz texts, this is from Wikipedia. Oroghaz texts were an Western Turkic people who spoke the Oghuz languages from the common branch of Turkic languages. In the 8th century, they formed a tribal confederation conveniently named Oghuz Yagbu state in Central Asia. There it is. The Oghuz is a common term for tribe. Oghuz confederation migrated westward from the Jetisu area after conflict with Kaluk branch of Uyghurs. Today, the residents of Turkey, Iran, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Khorasan, Turkmens of Afghanistan, the Balkans, Iraq, and Syria are descendants of the Oghuz, and their language is Oghuz, also known as Southwestern Turkic group of language family. So that is where they came from. They moved across, right, to Ottoman Turkish and into Europe. So this is it. This is clear. In summary, therefore, Turks are European. Turks migrated to Anatolia from Central Asia, Mongolia. Turks set up the Seljuks, Ottomans, and modern Republic of Turkey, and all the so-called Middle East, which were they were given by their cousins, the Europeans. There is the map. An interesting Turkish story about their nation goes this way. From their book that became standard educational text in 1932, Turks are taught that they originated from Central Asia via a mythical grey she-wolf. Many miss this mark because this is clear that the Turks make no claim to be indigenous or native to Turkey. They know and admit that they are from Asia. What happened then to the indigenous Turks? Because these are not indigenous wherever you can find them. Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, or Turkey, or Turkey. Africa must learn from history. As they welcome the Mongols all over Africa, the Chinese, Africa must realize that history is ringing a loud warning that original black people, even in Africa, right from South Africa up to North Africa, they will be wiped out and replaced by another people, just like what happened in Turkey. Were displaced, removed, a genocide was committed, and the whole area repopulated by Mongols. Now whole hands are coming as investors in Africa, and Africans are excited about it, forgetting that the real tech vanished. There's the real tech. We were almost written out of history. Time to fight and make a stand. Unfortunately, our politicians are as blind as bats in light. You can also go to this Egypt forum website given here, where you will see the indigenous and original Turkic and Arabs. It's very clear. This makes a very straight, open line of who is indigenous and who came from Mongolia. Now, Turkey wants Africa. That's a fact. Don't worry about anything else. But they are not coming direct. They are coming through their cousins, their hands. So it is up to you and me to wake up and wake up the grassroots. That is where our power lies asleep. You must share this video all over. And you must also instill the Ubuntu Ma'at consciousness ethic in our nation to those that are willing to hear and to listen. The steps into higher echelons of using such a power and the knowledge are already within us, and it is time we resist becoming a techie in political, economic, and colonial dishes. Do you know that even the country Turkey is actually an African country? This is the message in which true history must be built on, so that such facts and evidence fortify and build our identity and eventually restore our national or racial heritage. Knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is much more powerful and effective. Subscribe to our channel, Kamiti Iburu Ethics. If you are interested in this, send us an email on join@marfado.com. This is Preacher Rabbi LM Dumizulu saying we are rebuilding our greatness. This is our email. Thank you. Goodbye. Tatendas Yabonga. Enkos.